This is Overtime with Terrence and Leon.
Coach, welcome. It's that time of year in the postseason. Everybody's talking about sectionals and how teams are playing and things like that. But first, let's talk about your opportunity tomorrow night. You have a chance to have a share of the title of the conference. What does that mean to your program to be in that position?
Honestly, it means a lot. It's one of those things where if you look at our sectional is really, really tough. It's always has been since class basketball. The last time we won a sectional title was actually my junior year back in 08. And I would say that's the year that we shocked the world. I actually talked to our guys a little bit about it because I'm not gonna lie to you. We didn't get the greatest draw in the world. Usually you want that bye.
Right.
And we were one of the two teams that have to play on Tuesday.
Right.
And I told the guys, the sectional draw was on a Sunday, and I talked to them in the film room on Monday, and I said, listen, not gonna lie to you, it wasn't the greatest draw, but it's been done before. Right. And I told them last time we won a sectional here at East Central was when we had to play on a Tuesday, and we had to play number one team at Bloomington South with Jordan Halls, Eric Fromm, and I'm going to Butler, all these guys, and we end up beating Columbus North on a Friday, and then Bloomington North, who actually had D. Davis at the time before he transferred over to Bloomington South, and we ended up beating them on a Saturday. So trying to get these guys to understand that we've done it before, but getting back to the whole conference, that is one of our main goals, because prior to me taking this job, we haven't won a conference since 2011.
Right.
So I try to take baby steps and try to say, okay, we have to win our area first before we really start thinking sectional. I'm not saying that sectional is not a goal of ours, it is. It's just we're trying to achieve attainable goals.
Yeah.
We were able to do that last year, and we put ourselves in a spot to be able to do it this year, and it's a program booster.
Yeah.
It's something that we can talk very positive about, especially when you look at our record. It shows that we're 9-13, I believe.
Yep.
Try not to look at those losses too much. So you look at the record and you're like, oh, they're not very good. And it's that's not the case.
Yeah.
We have had a lot of games, 7 to count of our 13, where we were right there. We just couldn't get over the hump.
Right.
And if you can win half of those games, our record looks different. I think people are talking about us differently. But it's just part of the growing pains of having a young team. But if we can find a way to win this, I'll be back-to-back years winning conference, and that's just a huge program boost. Especially, I call it selling the program to bring the excitement here at East Central.
Yeah. So, Coach, when you think about your team from opening night until now, lots of ups and downs. Lots of nights where you're right there on the cusp of a win, but just can't, as you said, get stops. Where have you seen the most growth in your team?
Maturity. It starts off in our very first game against Whiteland. I think and Whiteland's really good this year. We were very close. I think we were down 2 with about a minute and a half to go, something along those lines. And we ended up losing, I think, by 8, in that game. But seeing the maturity of our guys, because when things didn't go well for us, you could just see the body language, and it was just very negative. And we beat Batesville a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of the same way. We got down early. Batesville's a really good team. Coach Garrett does a heck of a job over there. And they got us on us early, 14-4. Our body language improved. We knew that, okay, we've been here before. We just got to keep clawing back, and eventually we did. And I see us maturing in that way. I would like to say our execution's getting better, but it still needs a lot of improvement, a lot of work. But that's a product of a young team. But with having no seniors, you're going to have ups and downs, a roller coaster ride, and you're starting to see it. We have a tough schedule, and we're starting to win some games here and there, but I'm just really happy with the maturity level of our guys, especially at practice. They're practicing harder. Before, they weren't practicing very hard. They just thought they can just show up and, this is who I am, this is what we're going to be. But they're learning that in order to win varsity basketball games, it starts at practice, and that's that maturity level I'm talking about.
Coach, you obviously had success as a player. You've been around some programs where you've been a part of their success. When you look at this team you have this year, how do you manage, or if you can, tell us about how you've been able to keep them focused or get them back to centered to make sure we try to execute the best we can?
It's challenging at times. That's one of my biggest worries because we have a lot of multi-sport athletes. We got a couple guys that are big in baseball, a couple guys big in football also. But what I try to do is just, it's the next game. I know losing, it stinks. No one likes to lose, but with our team, I just try to emphasize like it's one game at a time, one possession at a time. Win each possession. You win those little battles, you're going to win ball games. But just goals in mind. Like I know we lost this game or we won this game, but you got 24 hours to enjoy it or get over it, and then we got to go back and go focus on the next game because it's all about just continue to improve, and then harping on the conference. I keep saying like I love the way our schedule's set up to where we have no conference games until January, so you really have the first part of December and then you have the holiday tournament to really figure out who you are as a team. In the last couple of years, we've made some changes that have improved our team and. Which is a good thing for us, obviously, but just continue to emphasize and harp that you just got to win each possession. Every game is different, and we have a great group of kids. Like they come to practice every day, ready to get better and ready to work, and ultimately it's on them more than it is me.
When you don't have seniors, let's talk about this for a second. When you don't have seniors, and you say they show up every day and come to work. How fast has this group had to evolve? Like your juniors, all of a sudden you're like the senior leader. What have you done to get those guys to kind of turn the corner to say it's your time?
It's taking time. It's growing pains. Sometimes I wish, and I get impatient sometimes too. And again, it's not me. I'm there, and I tell them all the time, like this is your season. It's not mine. I'm just here to help you to make this as memorable as possible, and hopefully, we win, championships along the way. But it's the product of great kids being in a great community where our parents are really involved and they do whatever they can to help their kids be as successful as possible. But these kids, I'm telling you, that it's nothing that I do. It's just a product of this community and who the parents are to instill great values into them.
Well, Coach, I want to focus on the 6-1 or 5-1 record with the opportunity to be 6-1, share the title. How important is that game tomorrow night to the momentum going into Tuesday?
Oh, it's huge. Winning a conference is one of our, like I told you before, is one of our main goals this year, and every year going in. And if we can find a way to be a very improved Greensburg team, that just obviously it just pushes us into playing a good Franklin team. But and I hope that if the ball doesn't roll our way on Friday and we're not able to get that win, hopefully we can get refocused and understand that we got a whole nother season. That's the tournament. But I'll be lying if I didn't say that it worries me a little bit, where you just get absolutely inflated or deflated after that, especially after you've been talking about it all week and you've been talking about it all year, and you put yourself in a spot to win a championship. Hopefully we can come out with a win. Our practices have been pretty good this week, and I'm going to tell them today, like, you guys are prepared for this. Now you just got to go execute. And like I said, if something doesn't happen, us as coaches, we're going to have to reach down in our bag and try to get them refocused for our game on Tuesday.
So when you focus on the positive, can you tell us about some stretches or a stretch or a moment when you looked at this team and said, guys, if we lock in, we can do this?
It's interesting you said that, because we as a coach staff were talking about this a couple of days ago. There was about a 2-week stretch there where we were struggling. We had guys hurt, we had guys sick. Every team goes through their ups and downs. And last year, it was the beginning of the year for us. We started 1-8, I think, to start the year. This year, we went through that stretch where we had that snowstorm that basically shut us down for a week. And that Friday, Saturday, we ended up playing Columbus East and also Harrison. We also had South Dearborn on there too, and we just weren't playing very well. We weren't ready for South Dearborn. And give credit to them, they punched us in the face, and we didn't respond very well with it. But we had about a 3 or 4 game stretch where it's like, especially after the Harrison game, we had a long, lengthy talk in the locker room, and I said, if you guys want this season to change, it's ultimately on you guys. And I'm not going to tell you everything else that was said in that locker room.
Oh, come on.
No secrets. It's just, it'll take too long. But our guys have responded since then. I know we've had losses along the way, but it's that growth that I'm talking about. And those juniors, like you said, they're starting to fill that leadership role that our seniors would usually take over with, but I've been very pleased with how they responded, and it's ultimately, hopefully it shows tomorrow.
Yeah. When you look at your team, and let's look at the highs, where have you seen the most growth in this group? I know we talked about maturity before, but when you look at the team in totality, or even as an offensive unit, defensive unit, where have you seen the most growth?
From the beginning of the year, I would say we have gotten better defensively. I'm a defensive-minded guy, so I'm always going to say it could be better. After about the holiday break, we really challenged our guys being more physical. We said we were just being a little too soft, weren't bumping cutters, weren't getting through screens very, just being soft. Say how it is. And I would say that was the turnaround of our season, because now we changed some things of how we do things on the defensive end, and I think our guys responded to it. I would say we're a little more physical now. Now again, me being a defensive guy, I wish we were a little more physical at times. But I would say defensively has been a game changer. We always had guys that can shoot the ball. We've always had guys that can make plays. And I would say offensively, we're starting to become a little more cohesive. We're starting to figure out what guys can do best at. We're making some tweaks on the offensive end that has really helped us. But I would say that defensive end is the key. And if you look at our numbers statistically, you really start seeing it, especially from January to February.
Bruins Guts Willer is the right choice for your next construction project. We strive to deliver unparalleled service to our clients by focusing on craftsmanship and quality. Our core values of integrity, professionalism, and fair pricing all but ensures our clients receive the best possible experience. Whether it's commercial construction, remodeling an existing space, or even building a luxurious home, we offer a comprehensive suite of construction management services. So before you break ground, give us a call at 812-934-2105. Bruins Guts Willer, building a better future for southeastern Indiana for over 100 years.
You know, Leon, one of the things that I like most about working and living in Batesville, it's the community. Batesville has a little something for everyone, and FCN Bank is the exact same way. Whether it's my personal or business needs, FCN offered me an array of banking products and services that would fit my every banking need. Don't take my word for it. You should check it out yourself at www.fcnbank.com. FCN Bank, building stronger communities. Member FDIC.
You've had to really expedite the growth of your players, both mentally, physically, being prepared for varsity basketball and playing every single night. What are you most proud of with this group?
The last 2 weeks, I've been really thinking about that, because you're coming to the end of your season, and you're like, you take a deep breath and you start thinking, okay, I'm like, well, like you try to slow everything down, because everything is just so fast. There's a lot. Some I would rather just keep personal, but I am just proud the way that these guys have responded. And again, I think that's a lot to do with parents too, instilling that, just keep fighting, keep believing in yourself kind of mentality. We try to do it too, because in today's world, I feel like that once things get hard, I feel like a lot of kids kind of just give up and quit, especially when maybe kids, this is not their first sport. Like you're looking on to the next sport. I think we have more kids that this is basketball first for them, but over the years it wasn't like that. So I am just extremely proud that they just continued to grow, and it has to do with the maturity level, saying, okay, like I know our record is what it is, but we still have a lot to look forward to. We're going to still come to practice every day and still play hard, and still try to get better. And I think that would be the number one thing, is just staying together as a team and just continue to get better and continue to fighting no matter what the outcome is.
When you say stay, you being a basketball guy and have been a part of and experienced success as a coach, success as a player, what's it been like trying to get younger guys to understand the standard that you want them to play? Because you can't compromise that.
Right. I would say that is always evolving. My very first year, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, what do I want this to look like? It's hard. It's really hard. Like, you know what you want, but as far as, okay, what are the non-negotiables? Like, I've never really sat down and really thought about some of that stuff before. But when you do sit down and really try to think about it, it's like, man, you can talk about a lot of things, but what are the most important? It's part of culture too, and it's evolving. What I thought from year one, it's different. I think sometimes your standard has to connect with the community. I think sometimes you got to do a little push and shove sometimes with it, and maybe I'm wrong with that. I don't know, but I was always told by a Hall of Fame coach that your personality has to fit the community, and I know that I'm from here, and I think my personality does fit this community. Obviously, I grew up here almost my entire life, but I think that this community has changed since I've been here, and I think sometimes you gotta adapt a little bit too. And then there are some non-negotiables. Don't get me wrong, but culture, to me, it's continuing to evolve. I wish I could tell you this is what I have, this is what we do, but like any other coach, you're always going to wish that your guys play hard, and that's something that we talk about all the time. And I tell our guys all the time, I don't care if you make a mistake, just go to the next play. But if you make a mistake and not playing hard, then we got some issues. But again, I never had to really get on our guys about that. I think our guys do play hard. I think they do take off possessions sometimes. But I think as high school kids overall, and that's stuff you got to harp on. But you were talking about earlier about staying connected. What that kind of means. This junior class is really close, and they have been all like their entire life. And I remember the very first film session we had. I was like, be connected, be together, have fun. This game in any sport you play is supposed to have fun. Just go have fun. No matter what the outcome is, just go have fun, especially with your friends. What better, you get to play and compete in a game that hopefully they all enjoy, and you're with your friends on top of that. Because in high school, you never know. You could be with a senior, junior, sophomore, maybe even a freshman. But with the way that our team is set up, you have all these juniors together that you played with, you hung out with, went to school with majority of your life. Like, go out there and have fun with them. That's what it's all about. When you have fun, you'll be amazed on what you're able to accomplish.
I don't want to say the name of the team because the Cincinnati people will be offended. But have you told your guys that the standard is the standard? I
have not, no. And like I said, I'm still learning too. Like, you talk about culture, like these guys are helping me evolve. I've been in certain situations that I've never been in. There's times, and if we're being really honest with each other, that even as a player, I've done a lot of, I've won with my teams, whether with the team that I was on, whether it's baseball or basketball, we won. I'm fortunate enough to be with really good players. It wasn't me by any means. And then same thing when I was at Milan. Even when I was an assistant at Milan, we won. And same thing with Shelbyville, and when I was at Ripley, and then and being here, we will get there. I have no doubt about that. It's just, when last year we went 1-8, I was in a different territory. I was like, I don't know how to act, and they have taught me how to be humble when you do win, and I don't think I've ever been taught that before, because I've never been through that experience. So hopefully they're learning along with me, learning how to be for them it's to be a good adult. What is it like to be humble and just be thankful for what you get to do sometimes.
Coach, we're going to move on to postseason. Sectionals are coming. What is it about this team as far as their habits and their qualities that give you confidence that you guys can kind of do some work next week?
I tell you what, if we are playing well and we are playing well defensively, I feel really good with our chances on Tuesday. Same thing with Friday, and then also Saturday. If we win, we will play Whiteland, who has been playing really, really well since we played them. But I still like our chances. I think we match up with them very well. Like you have seen with our scores, it's a roller coaster ride. When we don't play well, when we're struggling on the defensive end, it's not going to look good. A couple of things that we talk about a lot is we have 4 main goals every game that we found out that if we hit 3 of these 4 goals, we win, and it's true. It's deflections. We have to have 30 or more deflections. We got to have 10 or less turnovers. We have to hold our opponents to 5 or less offensive rebounds, and then we got to make sure our opponents are shooting less than 45%. If we hit 3 of those 4, we do really well, really good. And what we also found out is that if we hit the deflection mark, then we usually win. And that to me shows energy it shows that we're hopping. You know, we got things like we got a lot of juice, is what I call it. But when we don't have those deflections, we struggle defensively. And like I told you earlier, defensively is where I think we've improved, but we can also improve more. But like I said, sometimes those deflections are not there, our juice is not there, and then next thing you know, we're behind, and next thing you know, we lost. So I feel really good that we can compete with anybody in this sectional, but we have to play well. And I've told our guys this, like, we are not a team that, we can take 2 or 3 possessions off, whether it's offense or defensively, and expect to win. That's just not how we are made. Like, you got to be locked in for 32 minutes, and if we can do that, and we've shown that we can do that, I think we can be very successful.
Every postseason, a team has to have a certain identity to advance. What identity needs to show up from East Central next week to win some games?
One word that I put up on the board all the time is physicality and toughness. It's more physicality than it is toughness. And like I've told you before, if we can be physical with teams, and because I'm trying to, you talked about the culture thing too, and the standard, it's evolving. And one thing I've noticed, like, we're a football school, right? Like we're very successful in football. It's no secret. Let's embrace it. Let's be the physical team. And I've had coaches tell me before, like, man, you guys are really physical. And I look at them like, you crazy? Like, I think we could be more physical with you guys. But I guess, like, when you see it every day, you just don't know. And I've had multiple coaches tell me about how physical we are on the offensive, defensive end. And I think that's what we have to embrace. So I would say that would be the main thing: physicality, physicality, physicality. Even at times when I don't think we're very physical, opponent coaches think we are. Now that could be a different story when we venture off out of EIEC or even the Southeastern Indiana. We're facing these little bigger schools than us, but I think that we can impose our physicality on teams. If you've ever watched us before, you've noticed that we try to get into posts as much as we can. We try to find mismatches. We have a couple guys that we really love down there, and they've done a phenomenal job. So we are just constantly trying to embrace that physicality because that's kind of who we are as a school. Whether we have a lot of football guys or not, but that's just what we're really embracing, is that physicality and toughness.
So when you look at next week in postseason basketball in Indiana on the high school level, every shot feels heavy, and every time it goes through, it's like you hear a roar here or you hear a roar over here for either team. Man, with the emotions flying like that, how do you keep your team centered?
Well, it's been like this for years. We're the underdog story. We're the Cinderella team. It's been like that forever around here, and that is something that's what I want to change. I don't want to be the underdog team, but I think for us for this year, you say the same thing last year too, and the year before that, just go out there and have fun. Don't worry about the crowd. Don't worry about what's going on. And at the end of the day, we don't have pressure on us. We expect to win. Now, I don't know if everybody else expects that, but it doesn't matter what everyone thinks. Like, it's about what we think. If you believe and you think that you can win this game, we'll have a good opportunity, no matter who that team is that's stepping on the floor with us. But just go out and have fun. We have no pressure at all. I mean, according to the rest of the state, we're not expected to win the sectional. But we've done it before. And that's, like I told you earlier on in this interview, that back in 2008, we did that. No one expected us to win that. We were playing #1 team in the state, and we ended up pulling it off with multiple D1 athletes. It can be done. And I want them to know that, to just believe in yourself, believe that you can do this. And if you do believe, a lot of things can happen. And we can shock the state, and we do have the talent to do it. It's just we got to put it together. And there's been 7 games this year where if we could have put that together, our record's a little different, and everyone's talking about us a little differently. So just go out and have fun. It's a game, and that's what I try to instill in these guys. It's like there's no pressure. Just the only pressure you have is the pressure you put on yourself, and just go out there, have fun with your guys, and go win a ball game.
So, Coach, before I let you go, I got one last question, and this was on a personal note. When you look at this team and they've continued to fight night in, night out, what does that mean to you as a coach?
I just got some goosebumps just thinking about that. I like watching these guys compete every single day of practice. Every time we lace them up for a game, I love watching it, but it's who they are as kids. That's what I enjoy the most. I enjoy when they're stretching, walking around with them, and just listen to the stories that they tell.
Yeah.
We got some good kids, man. Like, and they're funny.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm fortunate enough to know some of the parents too. I know who they are, their background, and I enjoy being around them more, not as basketball players, but just who they are as kids. Like, and some of them can be a little squirrely. Don't get me wrong. But just who they are, and like when we're shooting free throws, I like to walk around every once in a while, and just talk to them. How's your day? What's going on? I make fun of them about some of the girlfriend stuff, or we have some Purdue fans that I like to talk a little smack to. I'm not going to talk smack now after because I'm an IU fan.
Yeah, don't do that.
IU just I got punched in the face a little bit, but when I get my jabs in, I get my jabs in. So it's just fun to be around them, to joke around with them. One of my favorite times of the years is during Christmas time. We always try to do a team outing, and we were able to go to BW3's, eat, and then go bowling. I found out that we're not very good at bowling. I'm glad we're better at basketball, and I clues myself too. So that's what I love the most. You know, I think our AD, Mr. Moore, said it once in our coaching meeting that don't forget your why. And sometimes I gotta remind myself, no matter what goes on in that court, my why is those kids. You know, and it's not the on-court stuff, it's the off-court stuff, and just hanging around with them. And you know, when you're with these kids, and sometimes it's with these kids throughout the fall because of workouts, or just you want to go season from November through the early part of March. I hope you like them because you're with them a lot, 6, 7, or 5, 6 days a week. And I'm very fortunate that so far that in my 3 years here, I've had a great group of kids to be around that just are fun to be with.
Well, Coach, I want to wish you the best of luck. And when the ball bounces your way next week, we're going to come back and do this again.
I hope you're right.
All right, Coach.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
This has been an Overtime Media original production presented by Bronze Gutzwiller and FCN Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender. We are profoundly grateful for the support of all of our sponsors, including Daisy's Doggy Daycare and H&R Block. Your continued support is key to our success. So until next time, be sure to like, rate, and subscribe. And as always, be a friend and tell a friend about Overtime Media.